I'm Muffin, and I'm programmer for the Lost Picture Show, which is a traveling pop-up cinema that goes around to music festivals around the UK. I also have a queer East End film festival based in London, and we do lots of pop-up events. About half of our venues are pop-up bespoke venues specifically for the festival. So I'm going to show you a little video of one of the Lost Picture Show's outings to give you a feel for what I do over the summers, and then kind of talk a little bit about what I do and some other pop-ups to give you some ideas. So that video was taken at No Direction Home Festival last year, which is sadly now defunct. But kind of what we do, we are a tent, a temporary structure that has a wooden frontage. All the seating is kind of velvet mattresses and pillows. We run a cafe that not only subsidizes us economically, because we don't charge any admission for tickets, but it creates an atmosphere with costumed usherettes and bar servers. And things that you've seen in this video are things like a 16mm drawing on scratching on film workshop that we do, and also live rescores, which we really like to do, especially with the music tie-in. But I really like creating scores or rescores to films. I think they create a sense of event and a different way of accessing cinema. So if the PowerPoint, does it go? Yeah. So while she's dealing with the projector, yay! All right, so talk a little bit about what I think pop-up cinema is, because it's used a lot. It can mean a lot of things. So in my definition, which is just one take, and I'm sure some of the pop-up panel will come and tap me afterwards for it, and I hardly accept that, is it is a type of event cinema. It is using or creating temporary spaces, and it is a meeting specifically of cinema, performance, and architectural and cultural space. So really a different set of things coming together that take you out of the normal cinema or film viewing environment. The Lost Picture Show in particular, we are defined as a traveling picture palace that takes the audience on a trip back in time through the history of cinema. Back in time through the history of cinema is our focus, showing kind of classics, and that's through the decor, which is kind of, chandeliers, red velvet, not really a contemporary vibe. And we do this through our venue and decor, through performance, and through programming. So this is the outside of the venue. It is frontages that are put together, flat packed down. travel around in an articulated lorry, and it takes about 8 to 10 people, 2 to 3 days to set up. So pop-up is kind of, it's an exaggeration. We love it. we become popping. And this is the interior, which when you're at a music festival, it's really unique because usually the cinema tents there are kind of open, muddy, drafty spaces, and this is one where you can take your time and get comfortable. And it also allows people to really kind of sink in for a whole film. Usually people that are at music festivals aren't necessarily interested in sitting down for 2 hours when they could be out watching 13 bands in that time period. So we create an atmosphere where people will come in and discover what we've got on. So again, costume usherettes, we've got a capacity of about 150 comfortably lounging, or 300 if you pack everybody in and you can. So in terms of programming, our focus is on films that everyone should have seen but probably haven't. This can be everything from Tarkovsky to RoboCop. Really wide. So I like to focus on early cinema, classics, shorts, especially new UK shorts, documentaries. We travel usually with 1 or 2 music documentaries, and the directors will come, and sometimes the band, because of the music festival tie-in, so it's a natural selection for us. And then live events, such as live scores. We'd like to do 1 or 2 live scores at every festival. This is a picture from the Cabinet of Living Cinema, who are rescoring El Topo. Not only is that a really psychedelic thing to see at midnight on a Saturday when you're at a music festival and off your face, but it's a way for audiences that have never heard of El Topo or this entire kind of section of film to discover new things. Also, we, and I particularly really believe in the wonder of cinema. I think that cinema is a magical, amazing thing, and I want to be transported. And what we found going to festivals is that most people had never actually seen the mechanism of cinema. Who in this room has ever touched celluloid? That is a very good number. Yes, good. I'm glad everyone over here raised their hands. But we found that we're running workshops based on artist filmmaker Lynn Live with 16mm film, either drawing on leader or scratching and destroying, soaping, dyeing, other films that the BFI were throwing away. Things like documentaries about folk singing in the Outer Greeks. And that people had never actually seen the mechanism of film, didn't know how it came together. 150 people that we had take part in this workshop, which was free. The only person that had actually ever touched 16mm was the projectionist we had with us. And then as people took a 2-meter kind of strip and did whatever they were going to do with it, we then spliced it together and had a showing so that everybody that participated could come, see their moving image artist work put together to a live score with the band that had done our other score, who were happy enough to play for 3 minutes. And then we digitized this and put it out online so that anybody that had done it could then share it with people. So they had an experience at the festival, they had an experience seeing it, what they had made, and then they had an experience being able to share it and pass it on. So examples of other pop-ups. We are a tent, we are an indoor venue, and we travel. But there are lots of other types of pop-ups, such as outdoor screens like the Nomad Cinema. This is an example of a larger budget kind of production with big pop-up, blow-up screens, big projection equipment, large audiences, big spaces. We've also got outdoor screens like the Backyard Cinema, which is on a very small budget. Their original screen was made of a bed sheet. They invested in a £100 projector originally and then bumped it up. They started with friends in their back garden and then started doing tickets. Very low budget. You've got mobile cinema, like your own screen machine, which is a giant lorry, very big budget, traveling around where cinemas don't exist. Or you've got a very small budget mobile cinema that's based in the back of a Luton van and cost the price of paint, somebody that was willing to make a little bit of stairs, and a bar projector. So that's only got 6 seats in it, but it's very cute. You've got big reclaimed spaces, like something that Amka's going to talk to you a bit more about later, which was assembled solely for a flyover. And you've got smaller reclaimed spaces, like the Little Joe Clubhouse that was created for Fringe Festival, which is one of my festivals, in a basement disused gallery space. They took the foam and the blankets that you use in packing for moving vans and some sticks, basically, and they made a Boy Scout style clubhouse and then hosted 4 days of screenings and talks that went from about noon until 8 p.m. every day that people could drop in. And the entire thing cost about £75 and a lot of dedication from the people that were programming it. One that I do not have a photo for, which is a shame, but is maybe the most amazing pop-up event that I've been to in the last year, which was the Outer Sight All Night event that was at Flat Pack last year. If anybody's interested in this one after I describe it, if you just Google that, turns out that every film blogger in the UK was also there, and they wrote extensively about it. But at Flat Pack Festival, there was like this garage space, and they turned it into an all-night screening event with psychedelic films. The cost was 12 air mattresses, 12 IKEA blankets, 12 second-hand teddy bears. Well, maybe they didn't buy those, maybe people just brought those in. And one really crazy programmer who was willing to do an all-night projection. You walked in, they had a fake campfire, you were transported into an ancient hilltop Peruvian village, they gave everyone chai, played the didgeridoo, said, and now you go to bed. You went and laid down with whoever happened to end up next to you on these air mattresses, and on 2 side walls and the ceiling, they had 8 hours of projected psychedelic films, and in the morning they woke everyone up, took you to the roof, and you all watched the sunrise together. The entire cost of this, I've now discovered, was £120. You can do really amazing things that bring people together on nothing. So, my top practical tips, and I'm sure they'll make this slideshow available to you if you don't want to scribble them down, that are the very practical things when putting on large or small scale pop-up events are: apply in advance for your temporary event notices and local licenses. These sometimes take a long time to go through, and you must have them. Make sure that you're covered wherever you are, and it might be you have to take it out or the venue will have it, by public liability insurance. If anyone ever falls and hurts themselves, ever, you will die. Make sure that you get the correct film license. If you're licensing from places like Film Bank for one-off screenings, the outdoor screening license is different from the regular indoor screening license, which is different from the film club screening license. Just ask and describe the event, and people like the MPLC are more than happy to tell you which one you need. If you're going to go for funding, apply for the right funding. Know which funders fund what type of event and where you fall into it. Don't apply to the Arts Council if you're strictly a screening event. Do apply if you can prove sort of an arts focus. Apply to local funds, to youth development if you're under 24. And make sure that when you're budgeting, that you priority budget. There are some things that you must pay for. You must pay for. And there are some things that people will give you as favors. Figure out what those things are and make sure that you put your money where you really need it. And then know where your amenities are. If you're not using a space like this that has a projector and power and toilets and water and security, make sure you know where these things are coming from so that everyone has a safe and stress-free time, including yourselves. And in terms of kind of the creative side of it, top tips would be you need at least one person that's totally gung-ho obsessive, that will not stop until whatever you're trying to put on is done, that will talk to everyone on earth about it until they can't hear about it anymore, and everyone knows. You need the total obsessives. Know what you're getting into. Putting on a pop-up event can be a lot more time-consuming than putting on a regular screening anywhere else that it's going to be. know that it's going to be a time commitment, if not necessarily a financial commitment, higher than somewhere else that you might do it, like in a cinema. Create authentic partnerships for everything we do, our workshops, our scores, the building of our sets, parties. We are collaborating with people who we have real relationships with. We've got a really strong relationship with the Watershed in Bristol. We've never actually worked with them, but we get together and talk about creative programming ideas a lot. Nurture relationships, whether it's a very practical one, come play here, we'll give you great publicity, or just somebody to throw around ideas with. And then the three things that I think will create a really memorable event, a pop-up event, is if you can create a sense of discovery, show someone something or somewhere that they have never seen before or see in a new way. A sense of wonder, because cinema actually can create this sense of wonder and a sense of escape in a different world, and a sense of community. So people that are coming in and either they feel within a community that have come there for a specific purpose or found a new community based on the experience that you've given them. And know that pop-up cinema comes from a very long tradition of cinema. Cinemas in the UK were originally all pop-up cinemas. Before there were cinemas, things like this traveling picture palace on wheels. There were huge numbers of mobile cinemas out of carts. Just get online or look at the National Fairground Archives. They're a wealth of really amazing inspiration. And that's it for me for now.